I wasn't going to weigh in on this, but I'm thinking about it, so why the hell not? So, everyone knows about the entanglement between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Let's just say it like it is. Will Smith assaulted Chris Rock after making a joke at his wife's expense. Now, this has quickly become almost political, like everything else in our society, right? I mean, literally, you can go down the dividing lines and say, like, if you're on the left, you probably believe this about the altercation. If you're on the right, you probably believe this about the altercation. It's pretty wild, and I believe me, I'm the type of person who has friends on all sides of the political spectrum, and I've seen a lot of different takes on this. But you know, all in all, they're either Will was justified, we're with Will, or you know, Will's a piece of shit. He shouldn't put his hands on other people. I fall a little closer to the don't put your hands on other people side. But I will say that I understand how Will was feeling. I get that 100%. I'm not saying he didn't have the right to feel that way. He absolutely had the right to feel offended for his wife, protective of his wife. But there's some stipulations here. One, Chris Rock is a comedian. They know each other. This is not like, I don't know. This isn't like some guy coming up insulting your wife to her face, and it's a different thing. He's hosting an award show. This is the norm for the host of an award show to roast the people that are up for awards that night and the people that are in the audience. This is 100% what happens every single time. And it doesn't result in a grown man being slapped on stage. I will say that Will Smith had every right to feel any way he was feeling. Where he crossed the line is putting his hands on another human being. You just can't do that. Can't do that. We wouldn't allow that in any other situation. Had that been a woman comedian up there, there's no way in hell. I promise you, if that was a female comedian up there making that joke, and Will Smith had still carried out what he did to that female comedian for making the same joke, people would have a very different view of what happened. They wouldn't be like, oh, well, that bitch deserved it. No, they wouldn't. And that just proves the hypocrisy, like, in our society. Listen, you can't put your hands on people. That's the bottom line. You can't. Unless you're defending yourself from violence. Not words. If you don't like what someone says, you can't assault them. That's just what it is. You can't. It's against the law. You know? You can't do that. You're violating someone's rights. Cannot put your hands on someone. Now, I will say that in the aftermath, Will Smith did finally publicly apologize later the next day, and I'm glad that he did. It helped him save a little bit of face with me. I've always been a big fan of Will Smith, and I've always been a big fan of Chris Rock as well. So this is like it's a weird thing. It's like you see these two people that you like, that you've enjoyed through the years, their work, and then it's like, and you have a pretty good, like, we don't really know who they are, right, behind closed doors. We don't know that. But you have a pretty good sense of, like, if you like their personality or not. And I feel like these are two guys I've always enjoyed their personality. I've never thought of them as, like, bad dudes. I've always thought of them as pretty decent dudes and good at their craft. And so it puts you in a predicament when two people you like or admire have an altercation, and then you got to pick one side or the other. As I said, I fully get it why Will wanted to slap the shit out of Chris Rock. I get that. Also, you know, the man has been emasculated a bit over the past few years with the whole situation with the Jada entanglement. You know, full-on relationship with another man thing, and whether or not they're married, or questions about their marriage, their relationship, which is really nobody's business, but they made it very public. And that he's been turned into a meme of him crying about the relationship with his wife. And so, yes, over the past few years, on top of this, has been this kind of emasculation, this like pouring of like saying that Will Smith is this and that, and his wife is this and that, and like, he may have that may have built up over time, and he felt like he had to do something. He was tired of just sitting to the sidelines and letting stuff be said about him and about his wife, and felt very defensive of that fact. And he was like, well, this is it. This is the final straw. I'm going to make sure no one talks about my wife anymore. I don't think that's necessarily going to solve it, but I kind of see that aspect of it as well, and you may disagree. However, we live in a modern society with fucking rules, and you can't put your hands on people. You can't. He could say anything he wanted. He could have demeaned him, talked shit on him, insulted him, made him look like a little bitch on stage. But when you put your hands on someone, you're crossing the line. In my book. You just can't do that. If that was anyone else, just take this litmus test. If that were anyone else that was not a celebrity, and I know there's white privilege, there's this was celebrity privilege, 100%, because there is no way in hell anyone, white, black, Hispanic, male, female, doesn't matter, that wasn't a huge star that was about to win an award that night or up for an award that night. Anyone else in society did that, they would have been tackled, they would have been escorted out, they would have been thrown in jail, pending charges. Now, it turns out, he, like I said, Will has apologized. I'm glad that he did. I'm really glad he didn't try to double down and justify his actions, because that would have been complete bullshit. I'm glad that he's taking responsibility and saying, yeah, what I did was completely uncalled for, and it's not representative of the man I want to be. Thank you, Will, for doing that, because it definitely made you a better man in my eyes than if you would have defended it outright. Gotta say as well, Chris Rock handled yourself like a fucking pro up there. Literally just cracked a joke about it afterwards. And didn't get crazy, didn't get, continued to do the show, and just moved on. I tell you, I wouldn't have. I don't think most people would have. That's a professional. He continued to host the show, finished out the show, did his thing. That's a pro. And the fact that, it didn't turn into like a back and forth altercation. So, props to Chris Rock as well for, not acting out of line as well. Now, you could say that his joke was out of line, and I get why people are saying this, because the joke seemed to have been aimed at Jada's hair loss, alopecia issue that she's having, that she's dealing with. It's a chronic illness. She's dealing with this. It's upsetting for her. And so it was an emotionally charged thing. I'm not completely convinced that Chris Rock knew all the details of this. I think he saw a woman with a, not bald, like hair falling out head, cleanly shaved head. Which a lot of times is, a choice, a statement. I'm not 100% that he knew about the alopecia stuff, because that would seem like a joke he probably wouldn't tell, especially if those people were in any way friendly to him. But then there is the fact that he is a comedian, and this is what they do. This is what they do. And you could say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Look, I get that. And it happens sometimes in society. But goddamn, when you're in front of the world, this is not the example you want to set. you can't hit people over their words. That's just not the society we live in. Go back 100 years, sure. You want to slap a man, challenge him to a duel. That's how things were done. It's not how we do things anymore. We're a civilized society. So, yeah, I thought it was out of line. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough about this. Like I said, given what the situation was, I completely feel for Will Smith. But I also know that it was 100% out of line to put his hands on Chris Rock. That being said, I don't begrudge any of you that have a different opinion than me. That's another great thing about this country. I don't know how this became political overnight. It's not surprising, though. Every single thing does right now in this ridiculously politically charged environment that we're in. Everything becomes right or left somehow. Fact is, a man got slapped. It's not the biggest fucking deal in the world. It's not the hugest thing that's ever happened. And, also, Will Smith was completely out of fucking line. Both of these things are true. It's not that huge of a deal, but this dude was completely out of line. So anyway, that's my take on it. I'm sure nobody really cares about what the guy who reviews movies and books and such and talks about pop culture thinks, but those are my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. And like I said, I don't begrudge anyone that feels differently than me. If you're on this side of it that praises Will for defending his wife, fine. If you are someone who says Will Smith should not be allowed at the Oscars going forward, fine. I'm not that extreme on either way of this. He apologized. I'm glad he apologized. Chris Rock has said he's not pressing charges. I'm glad to see that. I hope that the two can be decent human beings to one another. It was an unfortunate thing. Anyway, that's all. If you guys enjoy this, please share it with others. And if you like what I had to say, or hey, if you don't, but you want to see what I say next, mostly what I do here is talk about entertainment and pop culture. But sometimes, hey, I do some commentary on pop culture things like this, current events. So if you're into that, if you're into getting something new and interesting in your feed every day, then please subscribe for more. And if you decide to subscribe or favorite or follow the Daily BS podcast, then I will talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks.